Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me today for episode 154. I'm Kathy Roats, and today we're going to think differently about birthdays. I love birthdays. And guess what? It's my birthday week. It's my birthday week. I love, it's not only my birthday week, it's my birthday month. It's been my birthday month since July 11th, but it'll go all the way through August 31st. I'm not afraid to celebrate me and share with everybody that it's my birthday week. So on Friday, August 11th, I'm turning 50. I know people always want to know, how old are these? How old is she? How old is he? And somebody said the other day, I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to ask. Okay, 50. When I say that out loud, wow. It just has a different ring in my head than when my parents turned 50. So it's my birthday week. On Friday, it's my birthday. Oh yeah, I'm getting a massage that day. It's going to be a family weekend. I love presents. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have ice cream. I mean, hello. Why wouldn't you want to be excited about this day? Right? Why wouldn't you want to be excited to tell people, it's my birthday? So do you like to celebrate you? Do you like to celebrate other people? Do you like your birthday? It's okay. It's okay to like it, right? I guess it's okay not to like it too, right? So on Friday, actually probably the day that you might be listening to this episode, I'm going to turn a brand new decade. So it's actually a great time to review and reflect. Many times, actually every single year, I review and reflect between Christmas and New Year's. I like to create a new personal development plan for the year. I like to reflect on the previous year. But birthdays are a great time to reflect as well. And for me, it's kind of in the middle of the year. So it's a mid-year review, right? Well, turning a brand new decade just got me thinking about decades. I'm going into my 6th decade of life. So, how do I define the other 5 decades? I've really been doing some thinking. So here's what I've come up with. My first decade is age, 0 to 9. That I call that my create decade. That was the decade where, literally, right? I was created, but I was also creating me. I was figuring out what I like and what I didn't like. A few weeks ago, my husband and I were talking about just memories from this age time period in my life and where we lived and what I was doing. And I remember, exploring in the sandbox or riding my bike to different places in town or creating new friends. There was just a lot of creation that was really going on in that first decade of my life. And then we move into the second decade, so ages 10 through 19. This decade is my explore decade. This is the decade where I really created my world. I tried things, and actually, if something was offered, I was trying it. Thankfully, though, that wasn't drugs, and I really didn't drink alcohol in those ages either. So it wasn't that kind of stuff. It was things like, I remember in 6th grade, hey, do you want to play a musical instrument? Yeah, I want to play the flute. Oh, before that, I even started playing the piano. And then sports. My gosh, I even went out for basketball in my junior high and my high school 1 year, 9th grade. I'm sorry, but for all you basketball people, big kudos to you. My daughter-in-law is a huge basketball player and coach, and God just did not bless me with coordination or an understanding of the game, for that matter. He gave me the height, which assumes everybody, thinks that you're going to play basketball. No, I tried it. I tried it for 2 or 3 years, and I kind of embarrassed myself and maybe even my mom and dad. But I tried it, right? I even went out for track in college. Oh, I'm a slow runner. Oh, but you know what? This is my explore. This is my explore time. The only sport I stayed with was volleyball. But I was downhill skier. I was a ski instructor. I flew airplanes. I was part of the forensics team, which back then that was like the speech team. That wasn't forensics files type of things. That was presentations. What I do today is a lot because of the forensics team that I was on. This was also where I was exploring friendships. Some friends lasted for years. Actually, from my first decade into my second decade, some friends just kind of happened and came and went. But like I said, if there was something happening, I was participating, and I was very excited to try the new things. I actually remember almost overwhelming myself. I remember going to college. So when I was 18 years old and I went to college, I stopped exploring in a way. I stopped everything. I stopped my flute playing. I stopped piano playing. I did continue with volleyball. I stopped flying airplanes. Everything came to a halt because I chose it. And I remember being very intentional with that because I wore myself out. I was kind of exhausted. Okay, well then, very quickly, I moved into my third decade, ages 20 to 29. This was my survive decade. At age 20 is when I became a wife. I had 3 kids between the ages of 20 and 25. This is where I embarked on a spiritual journey. We purchased our first home. I started my Pampered Chef business. And I started that because the extra income was helpful, but it also taught me how to feed my family healthy foods. It taught me how to cook. Just staying married, right? It helped me with that. It helped me have my time as well. So this survive time was not only surviving as an adult, I mean, talk about adulting it, but trying to figure out finances. And I graduated from college during this time, and I got a real job, right? And I had to figure out budgeting and paying bills and feeding the family and buying groceries. And there was a lot of survival that was happening during this decade. This was a stressful decade. This was another decade where I didn't explore. I mean, my exploration was with my kids and my husband, and that is just the way it had to be. It had to be. So then I went into my fourth decade, so ages 30 to 39. And this is what I call the build decade. This is where my kids were older. So I was building relationships. I was building relationships with my husband. There was at 10 years anniversary, there was a definite switch in our relationship, a definite depth to it. I was building my relationships with friends, with my spiritual relationship with Jesus, my relationship with colleagues. I was figuring out how to be a friend as an adult. I was figuring out how to be a worker and be a true worker, and not always a friend and worker, but just to be a worker. I was building my kids, giving them opportunities to participate in activities, building them up in the world that they were growing up in. And we also built a house. So physically we were building, right? I was also building my career. This is the time period when I really embraced personal growth. This is when I read my first personal development book, Thinking for a Change by John Maxwell. This is when I found books that I loved and I couldn't consume them fast enough. So this is really where I was building my career toward being a speaker and a trainer. I wasn't just that back then. I was an accountant, I was a computer developer, a computer programmer, a salesperson. I had a lot of different types of positions, but it was all building me toward what I get to do now. Okay, decade number 5, that was ages 40 to 49. This is my courage decade. And this was a tough word to pick for this decade. I had trust, I had discipline, I had a lot of words, but I came down to really, this is my courage decade. So this is when I traveled. I really began to travel, especially internationally. This was a time when I was also very courageous to let my kids soar in their life. They were graduating high school. They were moving out of our home. They were figuring out life on their own. And that's not easy to do as a parent. That's not easy to let happen. So that took courage. I also became a mother-in-law during this time period. And that's courageous. And I love Brittany. I love Brittany to death. But it's different being a mother-in-law versus a mother. I'm still figuring that out. I don't know how I'm doing with that. But this is also the time when I chose to be courageous and build my own business, my own speaking and training business, Unity Consulting. A lot of courage that I'm still feeling today. So as I move into my 6th decade of life, I'm still feeling the creation from the first decade, and the exploring. Exploring is kind of coming back for me a little bit. The survival is also still there. The building and I was going to say creative. I was creative, but also courage. So as I think back to those 5 decades and I think ahead now, I'm just starting decade number 6. I'm on the verge of decade number 6. So I don't know what my word's going to be to define this decade. I'm thinking it might be move. Move. I mean, my whole mission in life is to move my body, to keep my body active. We are literally moving to a new home in the next month, to a new state, traveling more as a speaker and trainer because the pandemic's over, right? And I have the opportunity to travel more for work and for fun. So yeah, that's where I think it's going right now. But you know what? I got the next 10 years to see what happens through this decade. So you know what? I share this all with you because I'm kind of curious. What do your decades define about you? How do you look back on your life and consolidate it into decades instead of years? It really is important to evaluate your experiences, and John Maxwell talks about that, and there's many other speakers that talk about reflecting and evaluating on your experiences. You also need to be intentional. So when I was talking about what my focus is going to be in this next decade, there's some intentionality there. I want to move toward who I want to be. We need to take time to think about that. Who do you want to be? What do you want your decade to be like? Regardless of when your birthday is, take time this week. Take time to reflect on your decades and decide what you want from your next 10 years. Decide what you want those 10 years to represent. Who do you want to be? And then figure out, what do you want to do? And when your birthday actually does come around, celebrate you. Don't be afraid to share with the world. It's my birthday. Go do things for yourself. Don't wait for other people to surprise you because that'll just disappoint you. If you want a massage, go get a massage. If you want ice cream, go get it's your birthday. Go get ice cream on your birthday. That's my motto, at least. So I hope today's topic, I hope it's challenged you. I hope that it's kind of made you think a little differently about your birthday, but also about your life and who you want to be. As of today, though, be great, my friends.